从享誉世界的好莱坞驱车到于林敏的家，只需要40分钟。在这段时间里，我们经历了从喧嚣浮躁到宁静安逸。于林敏和丈夫马克塞尔斯曼住在山上，寻找他们的家，我们颇费了些周折。喷泉、阳光，一对年轻恬淡的夫妻5年前的荣耀似乎已经渐渐淡去，山下的热闹仿佛也与他们没有干系，而我们的造访却将他们生生拽回了那个夜。
After she won the Oscar, then of course things changed very quickly. I mean, really overnight. There was the next day, the phone was ringing all day. The house was full of flowers, and all of a sudden, millions, actually billions of people had seen her on television. And so even when I would go to the supermarket, people would applaud. They would say, "There is the husband of Jessica Yu." And sometimes when the phone would ring, I would pick it up, and always it would be a person saying, "Jessica Yu, please." And I would say, "Well, she's not in right now. Can I take a message?" They say, "Are you her secretary?" I said, "No, I'm her husband." They would say, "Oh, Mr. Yu, we've heard so much about you." Yeah.
Do you do the same thing?
Actually, beforehand I was nervous, but not scared. Do you know what I mean? I was just excited. So also I thought, well, it's good to be nominated. So if you just get nominated and you don't win, it's still a good thing. So that's why it was a very good feeling. But it was very unusual. Not every day that you have that to look forward to.
那是每个电影人梦寐以求的时刻。然而，对于林敏而言，站在奥斯卡领奖台上，远不如发现手镯上的一颗钻石丢失来得更为紧张，因为那手镯是借来的。
Well, it is funny that when you get nominated, there are places that will loan you, the expensive dress and expensive jewelry. And so I borrowed those things, but actually, all of a sudden I felt very nervous because I thought, what if I lose, these diamond earrings? And so when I was driving back from the jewelry store, it's Harry Winston's, this famous jeweler, they lent me a bracelet that had lots of diamonds, and I looked down and one was missing. And so I thought, oh my God, already I lost one. And so that night I didn't sleep very well. I called them the next day and they said, oh, it fell out in the tray, it was kept in a box. They said, oh, don't worry about it. But after that I said, oh, no more, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too nerve-wracking.
当晚，于林敏的发言荣登97年奥斯卡10大妙人妙语。这句玩笑话的背后，却道出了一个纪录片导演的艰辛。
The hardest thing with documentaries is raising the money. That's the hardest thing. And if you look in the credits of the film, sometimes you'll see my sister's name, my brother's name, my parents' name, my grandfather, because everyone helps out. And then a lot of times the people who work on the film will work for free or work for very little. And, they're wonderful people. They just want to help you out because they like the project.
在于林敏电影的片尾字幕中，经常会出现他的家人和朋友的名字，投资者、助理，甚至是演员。纪录片对于他们而言，或许是爱屋及乌，但对于于林敏而言，则是事业。是他不顾一切而要努力实现的梦想。
I think with every film, there's always a point where you're trying to raise the money and you don't know if you're going to be able to do it. But every project that I've started that's a film that I really want to do, I actually have succeeded in getting it made. And part of it's just because, you get lucky, and the other part is because you just keep trying. There's a film I'm working on now that I've been working on for about 2 years, and we finally got the funding. So you have to have other things that you do at the same time. But I think the main thing is that if you have confidence in the idea and you think it'll be a good film, usually you can find a way.
对于纪录片，更多的时候，最好的办法也只能是等待，固守着创作的自主权，等待。
Every project is difficult. Every project has its own problems. Because the thing is, you want to retain the creative freedom, creative control. So it's not just that you're trying to raise the money, but you're trying to raise the money in the right way so that somebody can't come along and say, okay, I give you the money, but you have to do it this way, or it has to be this length, or it's got to be here. You want to have the freedom to make it the way you want, or else it's not worth it. So.
等待是最为消磨意志的一件事情，但于林敏甚至能将等待的烦躁转化为激情。在筹拍一部关于一群再现南北战争的人的片子过程中，他再次遭遇到了资金的困难。等待中，于林敏拍摄了一部只有3分钟的短片。
It's very silly. What it is it's a bunch of different people, children and adults eating the world's sourest candy. Yeah, sour candy. And so it's just their expressions. And it's very silly, but it ended up being very successful.
And people laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And they think you just doing this to discharge your bad feelings.
Right. Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, sometimes you when you get frustrated because you can't do the project you want to make, then it's important just to do something, because then you can keep making films. So for this, I just wanted to do something fun.
或许当初他满腹的酸涩，比起这个酸死人的糖果来，有过之而无不及吧。而片中那个被酸到哭，然后又伸手要糖果的小女孩，又像足了于林敏本人。不同的是，她的糖果是纪录片。
I've made a couple of short films in between the bigger projects, and it's satisfying because then you get to start, finish something, and you can show it to people. Because sometimes when you're raising the money, all you are on the phone all day, or you're writing email, it's very boring, and it's not very satisfying.
获得奥斯卡奖之后，于林敏接受了众多国际品牌的邀请，为其代言。因为接下来他还有很多片子要拍，他需要更多的资金。呼吸的代价，导演于林敏荣获1997年第69届奥斯卡最佳纪录片短片奖。
My name is Mark O'Brien. I'm a poet and journalist living in Berkeley, California. Polio is caused by a virus. Most people who get it, it doesn't affect them very bad. And some people like me get it bad. I got it so bad that I can't use my limbs, and I have a hard time breathing outside this machine. I can spend maybe an hour outside of it. I spend almost all my time in London.
这是于林敏将金像带到马克·布莱恩面前时的情景。
And then the prize was like something extra. I mean, it was really wonderful, and I was very proud of the film and everyone who helped us out. But to me, it was like an extra bonus because the making of the film was the real reward of the process. One thing that was wonderful about the Oscars that I think it helped bring more attention to not only the film but to Mark O'Brien and his work. And so something like that, I mean, it's you never imagine that something like that would happen, but it was extremely helpful.
起初，太平洋通讯社的 Sandy Close 建议于林敏制作一部关于马克的片子的时候，他并不认为自己是合适的人选，因为这是一个严肃的题材，而他以往的片子的风格都是比较滑稽和另类的。
I think I just forced myself not to run into the chairman of the parliament.
What does this day mean to you?
There's a chance at independence, a chance to make a living for myself.
If this report tells us anything, it is that a disability is not necessarily a handicap. Mark O'Brien teaches us that courage and perseverance overcome obstacles.
Whatever I could. Poetry.
但是当于林敏读完马克的著作《呼吸》的时候，他改变了原先的主意。
I know I'll always be asked to write about disability. I'd like to be able to write about whatever.
But then I read his poetry and I read his articles, and I was so so impressed by what he had to say and the voice that he had. He was very, very, very poetic, but very honest and very direct. And so then I got very excited because I thought this story is not just about someone who had polio and has a bad life. You know, this is a film about somebody who's got a voice and really knows what he wants to say. There was such an urgency to the way that he addressed the world, but he was so isolated in his life, and this was something that was very interesting to me. I just wanted to find out more about how this person who has such a limited life could have such a vivid imagination. You know, there was kind of such a dichotomy between the way he lived and the way he wanted to live and the way that his mind lived. So that's what I was interested in.
于黎敏感兴趣和关心的是马克的故事，他的心路历程，他这个人。这不是一个旁观者的观看，也不是在别人的故事里流自己的泪，而是一个值得信任的记录者，一个有耐心的倾诉对象，一个忠诚的转述者。
Grasping for straws is easier. You can see the straws. This most excellent canopy, the air. Look, you presses down upon me.
Well, making the film about Mark O'Brien was a really unusual experience because he was so cooperative and really let me just make the film. He was very, very trusting. And during that time, we worked on the film for about a year, but we didn't become, when you make a film, you have to keep a certain distance. You know, you have to just work on the film together because it can get confusing if you're making the film for your buddy. But after the film was done, then we got to be very good friends, and so we remained friends for several years till he died. And that was very hard losing him after just a couple years of being friends. But it was exciting to see what the impact of the film was on his life afterwards. So I think personally it was just wonderful to make a friend like that.
作为一个纪录片导演，于黎敏比大多数人更敏感，也更敏锐，更关注身边的人和事物。一个意外的机会让他结识了一个特殊的群体，从而有了新片《生活博物馆》。
And it's about a sort of an artistic community in a mental institution in New York. So the reason why I was attracted to the subject is I went to visit this place, and someone told me that there was a building that was devoted to the art of the mentally ill in this institution, and so I went to visit, and I didn't expect to see that much, but I walked in, and you know, you go to a hospital, you think it would be all very drab. This whole building was filled with art from floor to the ceiling, you know, everywhere you look. And it was really wonderful. And then I met some of the artists there, and when we were talking about their art, you know, just the level of sophistication in both their articulation about their art and their art itself.
For me, painting or whatever it is that I end up doing ends up being some sort of a catharsis.
Art is very prayer-like for me. I see no difference in praying and art because I try to celebrate life with prayer.
So unexpected. I thought, God, this would make a wonderful film because people don't see people with mental illness like this. You know, I think that everyone has in their mind a picture of what someone who's crazy looks like. But you see these people's art and you hear them talk about it. It's like a different world, and so you could use the art as a way into getting to that different world.
在生活博物馆中，于黎敏倾听克莱德莫精神病治疗中心这些病人对于艺术的认识，呈现了大量原生的充满想象力的作品，还到处捕捉着他们每个人的眼神，以及这眼神直指的灵魂深处。
When I'm making a documentary, I think besides the challenge of raising the money, the real challenge is can you get the essence of the story that you're trying to tell? You can't tell everything. You know, people say, oh, you're telling the true story. You can't tell the true story, you know, that you can never put enough in the film. What you try to do is capture the essence. You know, we try to capture what is the sense of the truth in the film, and that's the hard thing. You always question, am I doing it right? Am I telling enough? Am I telling the right things? And it's getting that balance, and the only thing that I can do is to try to remember what it was that interested me about this subject in the first place. And if I go back to that and I trace my own journey in how I explored this, what I learned at what point, what surprised me, what didn't I know before, and I try to put that into the film, that's the best way.
发现、沟通、寻找到共性的地方，这是于黎敏完成任何一个作品所必须经历的阶段，也是他的作品所要展现的东西。于黎敏说：“全力挖掘能够分享人性经历的方法，这就是我所有影片的目标。”
Documentaries succeed for the same reasons that dramatic films succeed. If they take you somewhere that you haven't been before and they tell a story well. I mean, that's a very general statement, but I think it really applies. Sometimes people, if they see a documentary they enjoy, they say, oh, I felt like I was seeing a dramatic story. And if you tell it well, that's the way it feels. And sometimes when people see a dramatic story, they say, oh, I feel like I was seeing a documentary. You know what I mean? You want the feeling of really being emotionally involved and really exploring something or being somewhere that you haven't been before. Yeah, so, well, we could talk about work then.
一个作品要打动观众，必须先打动自己，这就是于黎敏成功的原因。回首过去，尽管很多片子显得稚嫩，但也因那里包含了拍摄对象和自己的情感经历而显得弥足珍贵。
The funny thing is, when you watch your own film, if it's very soon after you make it, all you can see is the mistakes. You know, all you see is, oh gosh, that shot should be longer, oh, this cut. But if you wait a couple years and then you watch it again, then you can enjoy it because then you can have some distance. Right. But I think when I watch it, what I see is, when I watch Breathing Lessons, I see my friend there. You know, I feel like I'm visiting him again. So for me now it's a very personal experience, but now I can enjoy it again. Yeah.
这个夸张幽默的指挥家的扮演者不是职业演员，而是于黎敏的丈夫马克·塞尔斯曼。他还有幸尝过妻子那颗酸死人的糖果。演员只是兼职，他原本是个作家。
When we first met, Jessica was in college.
耶鲁校园，一个攻读英国文学的华裔女孩，一个拥有作家梦的德裔男孩。这段浪漫或许哪天会在马克·塞尔斯曼的书中重现，不过之后的事情要由华裔女孩自己书写。1987年，于黎敏自耶鲁大学毕业，放弃了法律，选择了电影。
Actually, after studying English, going into film was just by chance almost. But I think when I got involved in film, I would always take it from the point of view of what is the story that's being told. So then, if you put all the technical considerations aside, and you look at the story, then it's kind of a similar impulse. You need to tell the story well. So that's kind of what I did.
为了学习电影制作，于黎敏和马克来到旧金山。这里有热爱电影的观众，有各具特色的艺术电影，有全美历史最悠久的电影节——旧金山电影节。于黎敏在一家制作公司找到了工作。
I started working on different productions, at the very low level as the production assistant. Sometimes I would be parking the cars or, just doing whatever work needed to be done. So I learned little by little.
好莱坞，美国电影业的中心，每个电影人理想的造梦乐土。对于于黎敏也不例外。离开旧金山，她和丈夫前往洛杉矶。
At that time, I was writing full-time, and she was just beginning her film work. And so it was very difficult for her because to begin in the film industry is always very difficult. And she was having to drive every day an hour to the other side of the city to work with a group of people.
Well, when I started learning about films, I was working with a company here in Los Angeles that made documentaries, and so that's where I learned. And the thing about documentaries is usually you don't have a big team of people, so there's always lots of work to do, and that's what I liked. I liked learning on the job. Before that I had worked on some commercials, and they have such a big crew that you get a very boring job. My first job was on a frozen food commercial, and so my job was to take frozen noodles and put them on forks all day. And you don't learn anything. It was just a very boring job. Whereas in a documentary, they needed help, so I was recording sound. So I got some experience with equipment. So that's the difference. You get a lot more experience early.
But it wasn't a difficult time. It was a fun time. We were both really beginning our careers. We were learning about Los Angeles, discovering our life together. We had just been married. It was a fun time. I don't remember it as being difficult at all.
Okay, can you ask them what they need? Because what do they need to take pictures of?
Okay, 你们都需要什么东西？
我们还有照片，还有拍点。
Please do you want to shoot some pictures?
采访中，作家马克·塞尔斯曼就充当了我们的翻译。早些年在中国当过老师的他，已将那段经历著书出版，名为《钢铁与蚕丝》。
No, he learned Chinese when he studied it even before college, when he was like 13 or 14. That's when he started, and then when he lived there. But his accent is really perfect. I mean, I don't know, but the people tell me his accent is perfect, yeah.
One thing that's very funny is sometimes when we travel to Asia, of course, people in China will begin to speak to her. They'll say, "Oh, 怎么样了？来中文怎么样？你喜欢我们的国家吗？"
I point to him.
And she'll have to say, "I'm sorry, I don't speak Chinese." You'll have to talk to him.
And then the waiter always says, "What? He speaks Chinese? You don't speak Chinese?"
And then they criticize her. 你中国人不会说中国话，外国人会说中国话，这怎么了？
He's saying this in Chinese, but I know what he's saying. It's very embarrassing.
于林敏已经是华裔在美国的第5代了，甚至从祖父母那辈开始，英语就成为家庭中的主要交流方式。父亲的上海话和母亲的广东话都已成为儿时的记忆。尽管如此，像所有的华裔一样，于林敏仍然有着深厚的中国情结。
Well, there's the first documentary I ever made, which was called Home Base. And yeah, Home Base was about San Jose Chinatown, and that's the town where my grandfather grew up, one of my grandfathers. So it was a historical film, but it was also personal because my grandfather grew up there. So that was the first one I did, and then after I did that, I got very excited about making films. So it was a good experience.
做意大利菜。那个音乐那是马友友。
My husband is a writer, so he also works in the creative field. And both of them are very project-oriented, so you work on something for a while, then you stop. Then you wait for the next idea, and then you work on the next thing. So it's a very difficult thing to be, it's not very consistent. It's not like a day job where you go in. So it's important to understand what each other goes through. So he's very supportive when I'm trying to raise the money for something, and then I try to support him when he's working on the 5th draft of the book. It's so I think we both understand what the pressure is like.
I have my own cooking show in China.
I know, gosh, Mark, you're a celebrity chef. Your Eva will get to be on too. She ate and she's fat up.
But of course.
Jessica, it's true, she's a very focused, very, very busy person. She loves what she does. She's very serious about it. And so, you know, sometimes people ask, well, does that bother you that she can't have much time, really? For example, she doesn't cook. I do all the cooking because she doesn't have time for that kind of thing. Does that bother me? The truth is that no, it doesn't bother me at all, because I also, being a writer, I love what I do. I love the fact that when I'm writing a book and I really need time alone, she never bothers me about it. She doesn't say, why don't you spend time? Blah, blah, blah. No, she understands. And so when it's her time to be busy, I also understand. I think it's a very good thing that we both are very similar in our interest and our personality.
I'm not a very good cook. Do my best. This is olive oil, onions, and garlic. Italian food.
I'm very lucky to be married to her. I hope she feels she's lucky to be married to me. We can help each other do what we want. So it works very well.
Yeah, no, I feel very satisfied with my current life, mainly because, well, like I said, we just had a daughter a couple of months ago, and so that's very exciting. You know, it's more work than making a film, but it's a lot more fun. No, actually making films is fun too, but it's a completely different thing. It's really, really wonderful. Hey, Scott, I'm filming right now. Yeah, so, well, we can talk about work then. Oh, yeah, so, Terry, yeah, they're so nice. They're the first people I started working for when I moved to, when we moved here. Tomorrow, there's a guy who's going to do some, like, who wants to intern. He's like 36 years old or something, but he's wants to get into documentaries, so he's going to come over. Okay, see you then, bye.